Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Thunder, and this is gonna be tutorial number 18th of the Unity Survival Game series. And this is actually going to be the last tutorial of the single player part of it. Now, last video we made the save system, but we did leave one thing out. That was the storage saving. So basically, everything on our map that we want can be saved, or dropbacks are gonna get saved with their data on it. But now there is an issue, which is basically the fact that our storage boxes do not get saved. So we're gonna be basically doing that. Now we're gonna do it in a much simpler way than how we did the dropbacks and everything. And this way it's also less confusing. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Oh, also by the way, this tutorial we're gonna do this, but we're mainly focusing on the pause menu. So this shouldn't take too long. It's gonna be real quick. Once we get this, we'll get started with the pause and main menu, and then we'll be done with the single player part of the tutorial series. Next tutorial of this series will be starting to make the multiplayer. So we're gonna turn this into actual multiplayer. And I'm also going to be making a separate series really soon that's basically going to be how to make a multiplayer game. Now this is going to be using a network solution called Riptide. It's free of charge. You can use it commercially or non-commercially. It's up to you, and no charges will be applied to you. So that's the one I use for my game, and it's a pretty good networking solution, to be honest. And it should be a pretty interesting series. It won't be as long as this one. We're basically going to be just building a sort of Call of Duty game, two teams facing against each other, and timer and score. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but also it's something that it's good to know about and be able to make. Alright, so now that said, last thing I want to say is I'd like to thank you all for subscribing to the channel. I know 100 subscribers is not that much. Like, it's a pretty small number compared to most channels out there. But to me, it's a pretty big deal because last time I tried doing something like this, I would get up to like 10 subs or something like that and just like quit about it. So I'd like to thank every single one of you that are watching the videos, that are subscribing. And if you're watching this and aren't subscribed, go ahead and consider doing it. Now, let's get into the actual tutorial. Okay, so first thing we're going to need is going to be saving the storage. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, load the scripts on Visual Studio, and I'll see you guys in. Alright, so I got the scripts right here. We're going to mainly be using these three scripts. I don't think we'll need any other scripts, but in case we do, we'll just load them up. Now, the savable object right here, we're going to do a couple of tweaks to it. I'm just going to try to cramp everything into the savable object script to keep the system as simple as possible. The reason I'm doing this is because for my game, when I developed this save system, I use the savable object as a pretty much as a center to everything, where I will have a savable object for things like positions and that kind of stuff. So things that the values don't matter that much. So trees, rocks, those kind of things. But then when it came to boxes and everything, I would just do a separate script. And right now it's a pretty big mess with the save system. It's kind of hard to work upon that. That's why I'm just putting it into the same script now. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is over here we're going to do hiding inspector, and this is going to be a public int, but this is going to be an array, and we are going to call it storage items ID. Then it's gonna be the same thing, but for the stacks. So making an array, storage, items, stacks, and there we go. Now, what's gonna happen in an update is, so I'm just gonna comment this out to keep it organized, and I'm gonna do this pickup. Then down here we're gonna do the storage one. So storage, and let's go ahead and get coding. So now first we're going to check, it's pretty much like the pickup, we're going to go ahead and check if our storage is null. So we're gonna do if get component storage equals null, so equals null. It's not equals null, sorry, so exclamation equals and then null. And now inside here, what we're going to do is pretty much, we're going to go ahead and do storage equals get component storage. And now in here we're going to be doing, let me just check what's the name of the variable. Dot slots. Alright, so we've got an array of slots. Alright. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to create two provisional lists, then we're going to turn them into the arrays we got already. So let's go ahead and do that. Public int, okay, actually not public int, sorry. List int, and we're going to call it items data, and this is going to be equals a new list of type int. Now we're going to be doing the same exact thing but for the stack size. So items stacks. Now we're pretty much going to run a for int I equals 0, and if I is less than storage dot slots dot length, then what we're going to be doing is I++. Now inside here, all we're gonna do is if storage dot slots I dot data equals null, so if it's empty, we are just going to add 0 to both. So items data dot add, and we're gonna add 0. Remember that ID is basically our non-existent ID, so that's what represents nothing, so there's no object in it. And then we're gonna do the same thing but for the items stacks, so that add, and we're gonna do 0. Now next thing, we're gonna code the other. So if it has an object in the slot, we're gonna do items data dot add, and we're gonna do storage dot slots dot data dot id. Okay, what? Okay, dot id. Okay, what's going on? Okay, sorry. Storage dot slots square brackets I dot data dot id. There we go. And then we're just gonna add the stack size of it. So items stacks dot add, and we're gonna do storage dot slots I dot stack size, and there we go. So our civil object should already be having that, and then we gotta just turn it into an array. So right after for, we're going to do storage items ID equals items data dot to array. And same thing for the stacks. So storage items stacks equals items stacks dot to array. Also, sorry if you guys are hearing me like a little bit tired and pretty kind of low. It's kind of late. I'm tired. That's why you're hearing me tired. And also everyone's sleeping at my house, so that's pretty much why. Now let's go ahead and save this. And on this savable object, we are going to do a couple of things too. It's gonna be pretty similar, but first I'm just gonna organize this. So I'm gonna do drop back right here. Then same thing over here. I'm just gonna do default save object settings. And then we're gonna do another one down here, which is gonna be for the storage. So storage. So then we're gonna do a public int array, and we're gonna call it items data. Then another public int array, and we're gonna call it items stack. Then up here we're gonna do a public int storage size. Actually, no. This is what we're gonna do. Yeah, leave it at storage size. Sorry. Now, we got pretty much the whole thing set up. It's just go through our safe handler and apply the changes to it. This is why I like this system a lot, is because it's a pretty simple one and it's easy to modify in itself, and there's not much changes to the code you gotta do. It's pretty much just adding stuff. Now let's go over to our save handler, and first, before doing the load, we're gonna do the saving. So now down here is save inventory, save it to save data. Yep, that's good. Now over here we're gonna do storage. Okay, not storage, storage. There we go. And now we're going to go ahead and just pretty much get our save object. So we got it for each civil object objects to save. Actually no, we're gonna do it over here. So on this for each right here, I'm just gonna open a big space and we're just gonna do, I don't know why the hell Bixby keeps getting activated. So as I was saying, over here we're basically just gonna code the storage. So we're gonna do storage, then drop back, and then on the one on top we're just gonna do transform, because that's basically what that's saving. Transform. And over here on the storage, we're gonna go ahead and get started with it. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is basically move the data from savable object to the save script of savable object, which is save-savable object. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's get started by making sure that it has a storage. So if, I believe it's objing objects to save, if obj.getComponent storage is not equals null, then we're actually going to do this. So right here what we're going to be doing is just moving it onto our save-savable object. So we're gonna do obj dot first we gotta turn the obj arrays into a list. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're gonna do list, and we're gonna do int. We're gonna name it datas equals new list int, and we're gonna do another list of type int, and we're gonna name it stacks. Alright, so there we go. Now we're gonna run a for. We're gonna do int I equals 0 if I is less than obj dot, I believe would be storage items id dot length, then I plus plus. Then what we're gonna do is save dot, I believe, actually not save. So we're gonna do datas dot add, but we're gonna need to check if it's empty. So we're gonna do if obj dot storage items id equals 0. So in this case it will be empty. Then that items id I. Then we're going to be doing save, not save, I keep getting it confused. So datas I, datas that add, and we're just gonna do 0, and we're gonna do data, not datas, stacks. Okay, I'm confusing a lot, it's way too late. This shouldn't be time to record. And we're gonna do stacks that add 0. Now, otherwise, so else, if it's not empty, we're going to add the actual item IDs. So we're going to do datas dot add, and we are going to add obj dot storage items ID I, and we're just going to do to add to stacks the stacks dot add obj dot storage item stacks I. There we go. So that's pretty much it, what we gotta do over here for the saving. Now we gotta actually go ahead and load it. So let's go to our load function. Now over here in load, basically we got a save object, I believe, or we should. So these savable objects. Okay, so over here, run through the objects list and load the data to them. Over here we're going to actually go ahead and do the storage. So right here we're just gonna add another section. So we're gonna do, so remember it's on save dash savable objects, save in save data dot singleton dot savable objects, and we go down to where it says if obj dot instantiate. Now down here, right at the bottom of this if, we're gonna do the storage system. Storage system. Then first we're gonna do if instance dot get component storage system storage is not equals null. Then we're going to go ahead and load this into it. So what we're going to need to do is basically we're going to load it into the storage. The reason we don't load it into our savable object script is because that's getting it loaded pretty much from our storage system. So we need to get that going. So let's go. So basically we're going to type storage. So we're going to do this for keeping it short. Storage equals instance dot get component, and we're gonna do storage. Now over here we're gonna do storage dot items, not items dot slots. Actually no, we need to run a for. So we're gonna run for int I equals 0 if I is less than storage dot slots dot slots dot length, then I plus plus. Now, something I want to clarify, because I know some of you guys might be asking this already if you didn't in the past tutorial. So we're calling this from start. Now, the storage slots get generated on start, which means if we're generating them, it ain't really gonna work. Now, there's a thing. We're gonna be fixing all of these errors once we actually get going with the game object, with the loading part of it on the main menu. So we just gotta get this done, and then we'll fix any changes that need to be done. Sorry. Let's go ahead and do it. So storage dot slots I dot data. Actually, no. We need to check one more thing. So first, if save dot item stacks items stack items data. So there we go. But over here we're gonna need to add another if. So if storage dot, actually no, we don't need this if. I think yeah, we don't. So if save data dot item data dot item data I equals 0, it's empty. So we're basically going to do storage dot slots I dot, I believe would be data equals null, and storage dot slots I dot stack size equals 0. Now we're gonna do the coding part for when it's not empty. So else storage dot slots I dot data equals, again, as always, we're just gonna do find object of type, and we're gonna do item database dot get item data, and we're just gonna pass the ID from save. So save dot items data I, and then we're just gonna do storage dot slots I dot stack size equals save dot stack size. So items stack. Now let's just go ahead and save it. Okay, we need to do item stacks I, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty much done, at least I believe so. Let's go back to Unity and test it. But for this, we're going to need to make our storage savable first. So let's go back into assets now, prefabs, and buildables, and the storage build. So the final one, we're going to add the savable object component. And I'm just going to give it an ID of 3 because that's my next available one, and mark it as instantiate. Save. And now let's go ahead and play. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and pick everything up, because we want to make sure that this is getting saved. So this is our storage right here. I need to get an icon for it. I'm just gonna build it, and first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save it. So it's empty. Now let's go ahead and load it. Okay, that destroyed it. The object was not found. Okay, I know what happened. We forgot to add it to our save handler. So save handler, and just add it to disable objects. Now let's go ahead and actually play it. And we could just straight up load it, to be honest. So let's go ahead and load it. Now we get our stuff back. We see our system at play, and we open it and it's empty. Now we're just gonna put a stone hatchet in it, and maybe the spaz. I'm going to go back here, save it. Then I'm just gonna get out of play mode and hit play again. Then we're just gonna go ahead and hit Q, load everything back to it, and we got an issue with that one. So let's go ahead and see if there were any errors. Okay, no errors. So what exactly happened? Let me just make sure that there's no actual issues with it. So we got storage, the storage size, and the storage slot. So probably what happened was the same issue with the generate slots. So we're gonna need to make some tweaks to our storage. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go into our storage script. So edit script, and let's make the necessary changes. First of all, we're gonna add up here a private bool has generated slots. Now the reason we're adding this is because these slots get generated on start. Now we don't want that happening, so we're gonna close this. We're gonna delete this on start. We're just gonna call generate slots, which is not a function, so we're gonna make it into a function. Let's go down here, make a public void generate slots, and then we're just gonna copy all of the start code into it. And all the way down, we're just gonna go ahead and make it so has generated slots equals true. And then on start, if it's not has generated slots, then generate slots. The reason we're doing this is because it gets called on start, and we're gonna call it manually from our saveable object, so from our save handler once we load it. So let's go back to our save handler right here on storage system, and right here we're gonna do storage dot generate slots. Now that should fix it. Let's go back here and let's actually test it out. Okay, I'm just gonna load it. Okay, it doesn't work. There was a no reference exception. Save.items data I. Okay, I know what happened. So we're gonna need to clear save data. So let's go ahead and delete our saves folder on assets. So saves, delete. Now let's go ahead and hit play. I'm going to pick everything up again. So let's just go ahead and do this. Put this down. There we go. Now I'm just gonna unequip it. Again, I'm gonna put this pass, and this. I'm gonna move over to here. I'm gonna save. Then we're gonna get out and load it back in. And let's load everything back. Alright, so we're getting a no ref again. Save.items data I equals 0. Save.items data. Alright, so let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and fix it on my own, make sure it works, and then I'll show you guys how to fix it. So I'll see you guys. Okay guys, so I'm pretty sure I just found out what the issue was. So on our save function, go to it and we says storage. The main issue is that we're not actually saving it into our savable object. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're gonna go save dot items data equals datas dot to array, and save dot stacks that items stack equals stacks dot to array. And there we go, that should fix it. Now let's go back to Unity. Okay, what's going on? Okay, so let's go back to savable because it seems like a different item stack. Okay, I'm gonna delete this first of all because we don't need it. Now over here it needs to be item stacks, and then let's go back to Unity and test it out. Also, delete your save folder. Let's hit play. So let's go ahead and pick everything up, make sure that it works, and we'll get back to, we'll go straight to making our main menu. So I'm gonna place it down. I'm gonna put a hatchet, a spas, and the shotgun ammo. Now I'm gonna move over here, hit X. Now we got teleported back, which is a good sign, so no errors. And there it is. Now let's go ahead and test it going out and back into play mode. So we hit Q. It's right over here. And there we go, we got that. Alright, so our save system is completely done at this point. Now we're going to go ahead and get started with the main and pause menu. Now this is going to involve a lot of UI work. So my main recommendation right now is don't focus on making your UI pretty unless you want to do that right now, okay? Focus just on the code, then you can tweak your buttons however you want it, you know. It might be a little bit harder to tweak it, or you might have to do the entire UI from the beginning. But if you just want to get quickly through the tutorial, just make some simple UI, not anything big, and that will do it. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making post-processing options. We're going to be making a settings menu, and we are also going to go ahead and make it so we can change our graphics level, we can change our post-processing, so we can enable or disable bloom, enable or disable color corrections, things like that. And then we're gonna make another setting for sensitivity and another one for field of view, so we can customize that too. So let's go ahead and get started with it. Alright, so I just paused the recording, went through the footage, and realized we're about 28 minutes into the video. And if we go ahead and make the main and pause menu, this is gonna stretch out to about an hour, or like an hour and 15 minutes, which, let's be honest, I feel like kind of most people won't feel like watching. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna stop the video right here. So it's just gonna be finishing the save system. Then next video, which should be uploaded like 5 to 7 hours after this one, that will be the actual final video of this series, where we make our pause and main menu. We make it so we can load and save from those menus, not just by pushing keys on our keyboard. And that's where we're gonna wrap up the series. Also, after that, I'm gonna be making a video showing the finished product of the single player aspect. Then we'll get into the multiplayer. We'll adapt everything to work on multiplayer, even the save system, and we will be done with the whole series, including multiplayer. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm sorry about this, just don't want to make the video too long. And as always, if you like the video, consider subscribing, commenting, and leaving a like. It's always appreciated. You got no idea how much that helps. And I'll see you guys